Not a lot of action this weekend. NASCAR rolls into Richmond. The NHRA's in Texas. Let's get to it. One thing to keep an eye on at Richmond before we get into anything else, only 43 cars on the entry list. Everyone's going to make the show, no one going home after qualifying. Looking at Matt Kenseth, obviously huge story out of Kansas last week with the penalty for an underweight connecting rod. As expected, kind of like with Carl Long back in 2009 with an engine that was oversized just barely, but still a $200,000 fine back then for Long, $200,000 fine for Joe Gibbs Racing. The team's going to appeal. Penske also still planning to appeal. That's going to be heard on May 1st. And that is when we're going to find out if there's a real impact from these violations. So far, on both the Gibbs side and the Penske side, all the crew members involved have been able to continue working on the cars. Once those appeals are heard, and if they're not upheld, those guys are going to go home, and you're going to have some, I hate to say, second-tier kind of crew members there, but not the top guys normally in those jobs running those cars. Definitely can have an impact on the performance of both Kenseth moving forward and at Penske, but that will not be the case this weekend. Look for both those teams to be strong as usual. Now, one guy who unfortunately is not going to be behind the wheel for another week, hometown boy Denny Hamlin, hoped to be back in the car. However, doctors did not clear him earlier in the week, so he's still sitting it out for another week of NASCAR racing. Now, he may be back in the car a week from now at Talladega. Brian Vickers is filling in for Hamlin at Richmond. And if Hamlin starts at Talladega, don't be surprised to see him out of the car at the first pit stop, Vickers back in and taking over for him the rest of the day. Moving on to the NHRA, this is the series to follow this weekend, especially if you're looking for unpredictability at the front. 5 events into the season, Funny Car has seen 5 different winners, while Pro Stock and Top Fuel have seen 4 different winners. So it's anybody's guess again this weekend in Texas who's going to come out on top. Now, the one thing that nobody wants to see a repeat of, obviously, is the incident last weekend at the 4-Wide Nationals in Charlotte where Robert Height's Funny Car exploded off the line. Body went into the crowd. Luckily, only 2 minor injuries to fans. They were treated and released. Let's hope we don't see something like that again. As always, follow all the action all weekend long as it unfolds at AutoWeekRacing.com. My man Mac Morrison will be here on Monday to take you behind the scenes with some of the stuff you don't get from the race broadcast. See you then.
Catch all the latest auto enthusiast news at AutoWeek.com, in AutoWeek Magazine and iPad Edition. Talk with us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at AutoWeek USA.